The Biden administration okayed a second emergency weapons sale to Israel. This is the second time in a month.
Bypassing Congress.
State Department said Friday that Secretary of State Anthony Blinken had told Congress that he made a second emergency determination covering a $147.5 million sale for equipment, including fuses, charges, and primers that is needed to make the 155 millimeter shells that Israel has already purchased function. Now, we spoke, and I can't remember who was her name from the
Women's Ari Talani.
Yes, Ari Talani.
Women for Weapons Trade Transparency.
About this essentially like open door policy that Israel has to U.S. weapons caches in Israel. We have them all around the world, and Israel basically goes in, and it sounds like, I don't know, like, fill up your shopping cart. And, you got an hour to go in and fill up your shopping cart.
Supermarket sweeps.
The amount of synchronicity with like the U.S. military industrial complex can't be overstated. And I mean, I spoke to Anthony Lowenstein. That was, I think, one of our best ofs about that very notion, like that Israel's a nation of 9 million people or so. And it's one of the top 10 weapons manufacturers and wartime technology manufacturers in the world. That's a huge, in large part due to the billions of aid the U.S. has been providing there for so many years.
This sale got the attention of, and I suspect we're going to see more of this. I certainly hope so. Although there's been a lot of reporting essentially saying that Joe Biden is hell-bent on doing whatever Israel wants. Again,
he's a Zionist. He said it himself.
The idea that on one day you read Joe Biden had a stern conversation with Netanyahu, saying he really wants Israel to pull back and become more targeted. And on the next day, here's a special gift of, a couple $100 million worth of weaponry. If this is an actual strategy by the Biden administration to get Israel to show restraint, it's not working. But I also think that it's really more of a strategy to make it look like they have no leverage.
Yeah, I mean, Kissinger dying, since the start of this is instructive, because if you read anything about Henry Kissinger's relationship with the press, it was always him talking to liberal reporters being like, Nixon would be doing a lot more if I wasn't in there, restraining him. It's just lip service.
But here's Tim Kaine wondering, why should the administration bypass Congress on arms sales to any nation? Bypassing Congress equals keeping the American public in the dark. And of course, the point isn't that, well, we heard about it. It really is about sort of like, we're not allowing the horror that at least a significant number of Americans are feeling with this, which is now like we have top Israeli officials, including Netanyahu. I mean, I don't want to say all but admitting, but basically admitting that this project is about ethnic cleansing.
Itamar Ben-Gvir, we have this. I mean, I'm not sure if you think this is worthwhile to play now, Sam, but like,
yeah, let's play this.
Yeah, this is, I can read the translation for the podcast audience, but this is Itamar Ben-Gvir, the Minister of National Security, an extremist in like the most, anodyne definition of his ideology, speaking on Monday about ethnic cleansing openly. The solution of encouraging the residents of Gaza to emigrate is one that we must advance. It's the right, just, moral, and humane solution. I call on the Prime Minister and his new Foreign Minister, who I congratulate on his appointment. Now is the time to coordinate an emigration project.
פרויקט של עידוד
a project to encourage residents of Gaza to emigrate to the countries of the world.
אל מדינות העולם, שלא נטעה.
Let's be clear, we have partners around the world whose help we can use.
שאנחנו יכולים להסתייע בהם. יש אישים
There are people around the world with whom we can advance this
שאנחנו
idea.
יכולים לקדם איתם את הרעיון הזה.
Encouraging their emigration will allow us to bring home the residents of the communities near the Gaza border and the residents of the Gush Katif settlements. That's it. So that's just a very sanitized way to say that the Israeli government can and will engage with its partners in the world, and that seems to be the United States.
Blinken's flying around with our planes to try to facilitate this.
Yeah, in ethnically cleansing Gaza. So the point is just they either die by bombs, they'll starve to death, or you leave. And other nations I think he's probably referring to are like another top recipient of military aid being Egypt. But the problem for Israel is that the level of fury in the Arab world, I mean, like even Saudi Arabia, which was hoping to normalize relations with Israel, and they were working towards that under the Trump administration because it's in their best financial interest to do so, like they're having to be pulling back the reins because the amount of anger over Israel's the accused crimes of genocide now in, the International Criminal Court by South Africa is like rightly leaving Israel and the United States completely on an island.
We should say that it's not just Ben Gvir, who's one of the, like an avowed fascist, essentially, in the Israeli government. But Smotrich, who's the Minister of Finance, has said, we're not going to give any money to even Palestinians in the West Bank because they don't want it to get to Gaza. That guy was at one point a settler in Gaza, has called for resettling Gaza with Israelis. He has also said we need to encourage immigration. I mean, do you remember when Mitt Romney said this kind of thing in this country? Just alluded to something like that, and there was a total outrage. And it was not backed up with the demolition of essentially, 80% of the housing of people and the near starvation of 50% of the people and the food deprivation for 98% of the people and the internal refugee status within Gaza of people who are already Gazan refugees to something like 90%. And this was reported a couple of days ago in the Israeli press. Prime Minister responded to member of Knesset Danny Danon, who stated that at the Likud faction meeting that, quote, we must establish a team that will take care of anyone who wants to leave Gaza for a third country. Is Israel doing this out of the goodness of their heart? Well, there's only going to be a couple of families, or this is the plan. We make it so that people want to leave.
It's the only humanitarian solution.
And we'll get to this case in front of in the UN court that's being brought by South Africa.